Okay, it is 4 o'clock, and I will call the Monday, March 9th, 2026 regular meeting of the Salina City Commission to order. I will first look to staff asking for confirmation the Kansas Open Meeting Act required notice has been properly provided.
Yes.
Thank you. May we have roll call?
Mayor Hoppick?
Here.
Commissioner Davis? Commissioner Ivey?
Here.
Commissioner Lankowitz?
Here.
Commissioner Rim?
Here.
Will those who are able please stand for a pledge of allegiance, a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, we have no public hearings today. That will bring us to the consent agenda.
Item 4.1, consider approval of the February 23rd, 2026 regular meeting minutes. Item 4.2, consider authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with Roadway Asset Services for a pavement condition survey and pavement maintenance plan in an amount not to exceed $89,809. And item 4.3, consider approval of resolution number 26-8339 awarding the KDOT Magnolia Trail project and committing to matching city funds, which I did not note is in the amount of $242,000.
Thank you. Is there an item a commissioner would like to pull from the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I would ask that item number 4.2 we pull from the consent agenda to have some discussion.
Okay. Okay. We'll pull that. Is there any other item? Okay. I will ask if there's any comment from the public on item 4.1 or 4.3. If not, I accept a motion to approve those two.
I move we approve consent agenda items 4.1 and 4.3.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and second to approve consent agenda items 4.1 and 4.3. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Those items pass 3-0. Okay, 4.2, Ron Marsh.
So item 4.2 again is to consider authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with Roadway Asset Services for a pavement condition survey and pavement maintenance plan in an amount not to exceed $89,809.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. Ron Marsh, Director of Public Works. Commissioner, what is are your questions?
Well, my question really revolves around, I guess I'm anti-consultant. I got a good friend that will say a consultant is a person. I want to say a gentleman, but a person from the next county with a briefcase coming in to consult. And when I hear that we're going to pay almost $90,000 for somebody to come in and survey our roadways and develop a PM plan, I scratch my head why we always have to bring these people in when I know we have competent people on staff.
Yes, sir, we do have competent people on staff, but we only have 9 in our engineering department. Of that engineering, none of them are really technically qualified to do this type of work. They can do a lot of work for us, but not this type of work. Roadway Asset, RAS will come in, and they have specialized equipment. They're going to do over 750 lane miles of road. If we were to do that, it would take us, we can't even estimate the amount of time it would take us. We just don't have the personnel to do that kind of work. So they will come in and actually do the work, put together a plan, and then we'll present it to the commission probably in July or August.
Well, my question still exists because I think most of us, including yourself, are traveling a lot of these roads on a regular basis. And at one point in time, we had department heads, and now frequently we have a deputy department head too in each different department within the city. It just seems like over the course of time, and with computer programs that are available in this day and age, you I would think somebody could organize when roads were done and lay all that information out. I would think somebody coming in to survey would want, when was this done, when was that done? It seems like somebody on staff would have to get that information for them. Bottom line is, as a taxpayer and representing taxpayers, it just seems like we spend a lot of money bringing people in to do things which we should have the ability to do, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, so Commissioner, if I may, so this company has a specialized equipment that will actually have a truck that comes in and will scan the roadway surface. So this is something that we do, probably every 5 to 7 years. We bring in a company that scans the roadway. It actually takes an image of the roadway, and it gives us a better indication of just what the condition is that you can't really see with the naked eye. So, and based on the assessment that they give us, then that is how we fill out our annual street maintenance program. So that's how we determine what streets need to be sealed, what streets need to be crack seal, all of those sorts of things, resurface that type of thing. It certainly is easy to see a pothole, and we know where those are, and we fill those up all the time when we see a pothole, or when the trash trucks drive around the community, they know where potholes are and where there are things like that. But this is a higher level of review than what we would typically do in-house. And that's why we only do it once every 5 to 7 years to kind of do a bigger look at what the issues are, and so that we can best use the money that we have. We have a limited amount of resources that we can use on road surface repair, and we want to use that as efficiently as possible. So this is how we kind of build out our 5 to 7 year plan on street maintenance. So it isn't just driving around and looking at the roads. It is a piece of equipment that does a full scan of the street and gives us a higher level knowledge of the condition, if that makes sense.
Okay. Okay, any other questions?
I think we've discussed
Okay.
it.
Okay. Is there anyone from the public that'd like to comment on this item?
Ben Winhole, Salina. I'm not buying the scanning part of it. I've never heard of it. Of being able to scan a road or be able to see below the surface itself. With $90,000, it seems to me like you could take a couple of the guys from the street department with what they get paid annual salary, 2 of them to a truck, and give them 2 years, and we'd have the same money and what we got now, and they could drive every street and see we got a pothole here, we need to do crack sealing here. It needs to be resurfaced, because if you already have all of the information in hand of when that was sealed before, seems to me like it would make sense that you could do this in-house. And I've never heard of a machine that actually will scan a road or let you know exactly what's before at 4 or 5 inches.
I haven't either, but I'm not in that business either, so that's part of it. And also, you made the comment about taking 2 people. Well, that's taking 2 people off of jobs that they already are doing, so it's a staffing issue too. And I don't think we have 2 people to give 2 years to drive around roads and do that. So.
Norman Randall, Salina. This technology is already available to us. Talk to NASA, talk to Langley back in the military. They've already got the satellites fly over here once a week, scanning this ground. We already do it in agriculture. We can tell it that close how far we are.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? If not, I will bring it back to the commission for action.
Mayor, I move we approve a motion authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with Roadway Asset Services for a pavement condition survey and pavement management plan in the amount of $89,809.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with Roadway Asset Services for a pavement condition survey and pavement management plan in the amount of $89,809. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
That item passes 3-1. That will bring us to administration.
Item 5.1, authorize the city manager to execute agreements for the purchase of vehicles and equipment approved under the 2026 sub-CIP.
Ms. Pack.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. Debbie Pack, Director of Finance. November 24th, 2025, City Commission approved the 2026 sub-CIP for the purchase of vehicles and equipment from various funds for various departments at an estimated cost of $4.8 million. Staff from the Central Garage worked with departments to compile specifications for these items and solicited 24 bids for 24 items on that approved list. From from those bids, staff is recommending that we rebid 2 of the items because there was some confusion in the bidding process, and they don't exactly match up with the specifications on the 10-year plan. Of the remainder of those items that were bid, the table on the second page of the staff report shows the indication of those recommendations for those vendors and those amounts. Of the remainders, 13 of the bids are being recommended to go to low bidders. 9 bids are being recommended to go to bidders that are not the low bid due to various specifications that weren't met for those particular items. To date, bids being recommended are overall under budget from the overall budgets of each of these additional funds. Any remaining items that have not been bid that are over $50,000 will come back to City Commission separately for approval. Staff has identified the following options for City Commission action: to authorize the city manager to execute agreements with the recommended vendors, to authorize this, the city manager to execute those agreements with amendments as you deem appropriate, to postpone or not authorize the execution of the agreements and give staff further direction as far as how you want us to proceed, which could result in the cause of rebidding, delay of delivery, and possible cost increases. I stand for any questions, and there are also many staff members here that could answer questions about specific items that are on the list for your consideration.
Any questions for Ms. Pack?
I have a comment and a question. I'm going to start with the comment. I'd like to commend the staff at the Central Garage for putting this together without needing a consultant to figure it out. They're to be commended for that. And having gone through it in detail, I would like to, I guess, voice my appreciation that a lot of the vendors are local, and a lot of the vehicles being purchased or the implements being purchased are under bid as well. Mm-hmm. So I like that.
Yeah, we did notice that in the bids this year, that several of them came in under what we had budgeted for those particular items.
Any other questions or comments? Any comments from the public? Okay, if not, I will bring it back to the commission for action.
I'd make a motion that we approve item 5.1, authorizing the city manager to execute agreements for the purchase of vehicles and equipment approved under the 2026 sub-CIP.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to authorize the city manager to execute agreements with the recommended vendors for purchase of equipment approved under the 2026 sub-CIP. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That item passes 4-0. That will bring us to item 5.2.
Item 5.2, consider authorizing a change order in the amount of $32,966 to upgrade interior cabinets in the previously authorized 2026 remounted ambulance.
Mayor Hoppick, Commissioners, Shane Pearson, Fire Chief, Salina Fire Department. Before you is a request for a change order in the amount of $32,966. Back in January, if you guys recall, you approved the fire department to remount an existing ambulance. We went through that process. The ambulance went to the manufacturer, and as they were dismantling the ambulance, they discovered some structural issues with the cabinets on the inside of that ambulance. The cabinet constructions, they're plywood with a laminate, basically like what we have on a kitchen cabinet, covering throughout the inside of the ambulance. This isn't the first time we've experienced this, but the first time we've experienced it to this magnitude, just simply for the reason this ambulance, it's the last one of our entire fleet to go for remount. So when we started doing business with Osage Ambulance, we about 7 years ago, we started a remount process with them. And this is the last ambulance to go in. It's roughly 8 years old, and the manufacturer offered a repair on the wood cabinets, but essentially most of that is labor because they have to dismantle the inside of the ambulance as well. As an alternate, and something that we did with our the new build ambulance that you approved last year, is we transitioned to aluminum cabinets on the inside of the ambulance. Those aluminum cabinets are covered with a hardened epoxy paint. Basically, it makes them where there essentially is no maintenance. There's no repair to have to be done to those cabinets. They're much more durable, and they don't have they're not susceptible to cracking like wood cabinets are with humidity, road movement, moving up and down the road. Originally, the manufacturer made that recommendation. So again, this would, if approved, this would be our second ambulance that would have this done with the aluminum cabinets, and something that we would prefer to transition to. That remount program, as I said, this is the last ambulance that we've had remounted to be remounted the first time. We are very happy with how this process has went over the years, and the manufacturer recommends that we could easily remount a whole nother cycle, which is our plan starting next year. With some moderate upgrades such as this, we feel that we can easily extend our ambulance fleet by remounting a whole nother cycle, taking us another 8 years before we would even need to consider the purchase of a new build ambulance, which is, according to the fiscal note, as you saw in the paperwork there, would bring the total cost of this remount from $233,185 that was approved in January to $266,151 for the total cost, including, and then $288,866, including the cot that was approved in January, which is still well over $100,000 less than the cost of a new build ambulance. But essentially, it's going to give us a new build, or a brand new build quality, just because of the remount process that's used. So before you, there are a couple of recommendations, or a couple of options. Approve the change order in the amount of $32,966, or decline to take action and provide the fire department staff and city manager's office with further direction. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for?
Well, we got a $10,000 Band-Aid, or we have a $33,000 replacement.
Fix.
And I know if it were for my business or my company, looking long-term, that $33,000 seems well spent to me.
On the, fill me in, when we buy a new ambulance, we get help from the county, not on remounts, correct?
No, both new and remounts. So they do reimburse us for the remount.
Okay, so that, explain how that happens, because I know.
Yeah, so we provide ambulance service for the entire county. So part of our agreement with the county is that they will replace one ambulance a year, and then so that's either a replacement or a remount, or and then also they pay us a certain amount just for operational overhead. So this is just part of the ambulance costs that we have annually. So it will be part of the money that the county has budgeted for remount.
Yeah, I failed to mention that originally $303,000 was identified last year for the 2026 remount initially anyway. We're coming in at $288 even with this addition. So we're still $25,000 below what was initially budgeted last year, just based on what the manufacturer thought the price may be. So we're still under budget on both sides there.
And the last ambulance that we purchased new was, I believe, in the 340s, 340 something.
Including the cot last year, it was last year with the cot, we were edging on the the cusp of 400,000 for everything.
So it's quite a bit better, more cost-effective just to do the remount.
What's the
replacement.
life expectancy of the remount then?
So we will remount this ambulance in 8 years is what our plan is, but that's one of the benefits that this manufacturer offers: a lifetime corrosion and structural warranty on the ambulance body itself, which is, when we first started looking at the remount program, we could go other places, but it immediately voids the manufacturer, Osage Ambulance. It immediately voids their lifetime structural and corrosion warranty. So the part of that remount process, they strip all the paint off every time it comes in, every 8 years, and sand that down, check all the welds. They do a pretty extensive investigation and inspection of the entire ambulance body to ensure that there's no corrosion or cracks anywhere. But yeah, we fully believe we can do this at least one other cycle, if not 2 more.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any comments from the public? If not, I will bring it back to the commission for action.
Mr. Mayor, I move the City Commission approve the change order expenditure from the Vehicle and Equipment Fund in the amount of $32,966.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the change order expenditure from the Vehicle and Equipment Fund in the amount of $32,966. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That item passes 4-0. That will bring us to development business.
Item 6.1, consider approval of resolution number 26-8338, amending the moderate income housing grant agreement between Kansas Housing Resource Corporation and the city regarding Southview Estates LLC.
Okay, before we get started, I am going to recuse myself. I will turn it over to Vice Mayor Pike.
Mrs. Driscoll.
Commissioners, thank you. For this item, I want to remind you the city has been working, and the community as a whole has been working to increase our housing production over the last 5 years, experiencing the same crisis that the rest of the country has been through exceptionally high demand. Building materials are exceptionally expensive, and supply chain has been exceptionally low, and material and labor exceptionally limited. With lending getting exceptionally tighter with interest rates rising over the last couple of years. We have been working through a variety of economic incentives and have several projects in town that have been increasing our housing stock. One of them is Southview, formerly known as the Ryan Edition. They are requesting an amendment to their MIH agreement. I want to run through with you and just remind you a little bit about the project and how it's gotten here today. The Ryan Edition encompasses a formerly vacant 25-acre parcel on the corner of South Ohio and East Schilling Road, excluding the northeast corner parcel. Southview Estates was a 2021 recipient of $400,000 of MIH grant funding following the approval of an applied grant that the commission approved in 2021. They then got an additional $208,000 allocated in the 2022 award session for a total of $600,000. With that agreement, committed to doing 24 MIH qualified units. They are also an RHID property, or a Rural Housing Incentive District. They have 100% 25-year RHID on that project, and that was approved in 2021. That agreement will finish out in February 14 of 2026. So the city has then a full development agreement that encompasses all of these incentives together. There's also KHITC, which is on this property, and that is the Kansas Housing Investors Tax Credit. This is actually not in the development agreement. This is a completely state-run program that happens through the income tax piece related to this. The first round of this occurred in 2023, and the property was not awarded. Then in the second round of 2023, they were awarded $30,000 towards 12 homes in the subdivision for a total of $360,000 in tax credits. Thus far, to this date, 18 units have been sold that are MIH eligible homeowners. There is an income qualification for the MIH piece. That leaves an additional 6 units for MIH eligible homeowners that needs to be met. They currently have phase 1 and phase 2 of this 3-phase project in which they can pull homes from. The request today is to fold phase 3 in, and so that they can use all 3 phases in which to match homes to eligible MIH buyers. The applicant has also identified that they have 4 eligible homeowners who are interested in units in phase 3. That would take care of 4 out of the 6 units necessary. One of the challenges is, and as you'll note in the staff report, we have extended the time and added phase 2 to this MIH grant agreement. There are different products in Southview, and the builders have noted, trying to find the right MIH buyer with the right product doesn't always sync up, that it's either sold out or it was sold to non-MIH buyers. And so by adding phase 3, we give more product options so you get that match between buyer and product. We've also spoken with KHRC, Kansas Housing Resource Corporation, about including phase 3, and they have no obligation or no objection. The action to allow phase 3 needs to be documented in our development agreement, but that would satisfy what KHRC is looking for. There is no fiscal obligation for us that has been identified as part of this. This would keep us in our grant agreement, and all the funds, as I discussed earlier, are still relevant. This just allows more units in the subdivision to be eligible for MIH buyers so they can meet their 24-unit request, or I should say obligation. So with that, I'm happy to take questions. I know there's a representative of the developer here, and staff is recommending that the commission act on option 1, which is to approve resolution 26-8338, approving the resolution for the grant agreement. Otherwise, the commission could approve the resolution with further amendments or directions to staff. You could postpone or vote to deny the resolution and provide additional direction to staff regarding how you would like us to proceed.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the commission? Are there any comments or questions from the public? Okay, bring it up for action.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I move the City Commission approve Resolution 26-8338, amending the Southview Estates LLC MIH grant agreement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution number 268338, amendment for the Southview Estates LLC MIH grant agreement. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Passes 3-0. And we can bring Mayor Hoppick back.
Okay, sorry about that. That will lead us to other business. Is there any comments that one of the commissioners would like to make?
I have a couple. Since the last meeting, we had a lot of discussion on the Boys and Girls Club. And to me, there's been an outpouring from the community regarding concerns with placing the Boys and Girls Club in the park. One of the ones that probably hits me or makes me think about it the most is people that tell me that I bought my home backing up to the park, or I bought my home across the street from the park with the knowledge that it's a park, and for all intents and purposes should always be a park. And I think that would I know it would bother me if I bought a home across from the park, or the backyard was a park, and the landscape changed. And I think some of those people are in the room today. We'll probably hear from them during the Citizens Forum. And I don't know if it was the last meeting, but maybe the meeting before, I brought up visibility. at the corner of, 7th and Iron. And I'd like to commend the city, the staff, for taking quick action and eliminating a parking spot. I think it kind of doubles the visibility. I know coming through there earlier when we met at the museum, there was a car going southbound that kind of pulled halfway out and stopped as I was driving by. So adding another, whether it be 30 feet of visibility or however many feet it is, can only help. So thank you.
Anyone else? Yeah, I was going to bring up the 7th Street and Iron too. I know they moved some parking spots down, and it seems to alleviate that problem significantly. So, and I did notice they've started working on the overhead structures at the corner of Santa Fe and Ash. So we'll see that going up vertically here before too long. So, is there anything else, Commissioner? Okay, with that will bring us to Citizens Forum. Ask that you come up, you please give us your name, where you're from, and limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Rosemary Mai, Salina, Kansas. Mayor Hoppeck, I thought at the beginning of the year you were going to give a positive remark about what's happening in Salina, and you forgot that.
Well, mine was the 7th Street. He sold it. He stole it from me because I was going to comment that the city did.
Meeting.
The city, what's that?
You forgot one last meeting.
No, I didn't. I did.
I don't remember that one.
What did I do last week? I got to think about it. I did. I have to look at the minutes
all right.
now.
I just don't remember hearing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Commissioner Rimp stole my thunder on that one because I was going to comment about the city. So
I would like to invite the mayor and the commissioners and the citizens of Saline County and surrounding Saline County to the Granny Brigade's meeting on March the 17th at 7 p.m., which is next week, Tuesday evening, at the Carver Center. And our guest speakers will be Pat Proctor, Kansas House Representative, and he's also running for Secretary of State, and Michael Austin is an economist, and he will be speaking on the Fight for Freedom, America's 250th. And it is open to the public, and it's next week, Tuesday at 7 p.m. at the Carver Center. Thank you.
You want to hear my positive moment from last time? It was, I was complimenting the county on the Saline County Expo Center.
Oh, yes.
Several years ago, we worked with them to make that facility kind of match the TPEC, and they've done a really.
I remember.
I think they're done now with all their work, and it looks really nice. So
Now I remember.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for keeping me honest. Anyone else?
Brian Metzger, Salina, Kansas. I understand there's supposed to be a playground and the basketball court at the Boys and Girls Club, and I've been trying to find out whether or not that's going to be available to the public. So maybe somebody can address that.
Yes, the intent is that it would be available to the public.
Good afternoon. I'm Jackie Pestinger from Salina, and just have a few comments on the Sunset Park for the Boys and Girls Club. And actually, we've been handing out flyers over in that area, and this morning even, I went to the park. There were 10 people over there, and that was like at 8 o'clock, walking dogs, kids. There were a couple of kids playing in the play area. There were people just sitting and looking at the war memorials and everything else. I think, in my opinion, bringing in that Boys and Girls Club in that area, that park was actually purchased in, 1918. Then in 1935, that's when they really started working on it. And for the last 26 years, it has not been brought up to snuff to what the other parks are. There's a lot of potential in that area. It's one of the oldest parks in Salina. People in that area are wanting to keep it as it is, as a park, not as a commercial area for any kind of business to come in there. That will change the whole landscape. There will be more traffic There's kids in the neighborhood that could be in the street. There's buses running through there. We just don't feel that that's something that should be. But we would like to see that it taken more care of, that things are updated, and it be used for a park as it was meant to be. Thank you.
In one of the comments, Mr. Metzger, I know you asked about that. Was also, I don't know if you remember, the Boys and Girls Club is going to have a community room that would also be open to the public. I don't know whether that's to be rented or what, but that was kind of goes along, kind of like we had the Friendship Center over at the other one of the other parks. So I just want to bring this up. So, yes.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners.
Yeah, name please. And where
Bonnie
you're from?
Newbrand.
Okay.
I'm bringing up an issue that I apologize if I shouldn't bring it up. Just tell me I can't. Monique Hawley, I had got the records of what the people at the animal shelter are making, salary-wise. $81,104. Now, I don't know. That seems a bit grotesque to me. Because the reputation of the shelter has gone down.
I'm going to look to legal counsel. We're really not going to speak about personnel issues in the public like this. I'm going to look to legal counsel to kind of keep us
Keep it
where we can go.
calm.
I just don't want us to go somewhere we can't go. Okay.
Okay.
And look, Pat,
Yeah.
you want to?
Well, I mean, it is public comment, and generally they do have the First Amendment rights, but this is my first time I've come up in this setting, but other settings I've been in, I've asked people to bring their personnel complaints if they have them directly to staff so we can deal with them internally, because staff do have some privacy rights, but in general, I was going to let you go. I mean, salary is a public record.
Yes.
So I'm
Yeah,
not
it's open,
criticizing
from the
that.
open records.
Yeah, it is.
Just don't say the name.
Well,
Well,
I don't know.
a little late.
I'm not sure where,
Yeah.
I'm not sure where you're going with it, but I mean, in general, it is, First Amendment, you get a chance to say things, but the best way to deal with the staff concern is always to bring it to staff, because we can't comment publicly on any staff issues.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay, I
I'm
just
done? I'm done?
Well, I don't know what else you have to say. So yeah.
Well, okay, I guess you'll have to stop me.
$20,000 raise a year. A $20,000 raise in a year.
Rose, please, we're not going to comment from the public, please. In the seat, okay? Thank you. You'll have your chance.
Okay. Okay, I'm not real good at this. This is all new to me. A $20,000 raise a year from 5 years ago. Every year from 5 years, about that. See, now I don't know what to say. The no euthanasia training. Gosh. I really don't know what to say, except that I think that's a kind of a gross for the position.
And we are going to have a study session in 2 weeks.
Okay.
And so we'll have staff here and we'll address, I know, some of the concerns that are out there. So,
Okay, so bring this up then.
well,
Or
again,
some of it. Okay,
usually we don't take comments during study session, but we'll have an outline of what we're going to do. So,
okay, all right. Well,
okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Sue Nickel, Salina. I guess we'll stay on topic here. Commissioners, the information I'm sharing this afternoon comes directly from Salina Animal Shelter's own records. Before I begin, I want to acknowledge the hardworking staff at the shelter who care for animals every day. Many of them are dedicated people who genuinely care about the animals in their care, and they deserve recognition and support. This conversation is not about them. It's about leadership, accountability, and the humane treatment of animals in our community. At the last commission meeting, I said that I believe strongly in due diligence and in relying on facts rather than speculation. True transparency doesn't come from press releases. It comes from the records. On December 16th, 3 puppies entered the Salina Animal Shelter with parvovirus and were euthanized within minutes of each other. Witnesses state the euthanasia was performed by the shelter's leader, Andrea Murphy, with the other shelter leader, Monique Hawley, present. The method used was intracardiac injection without sedation, widely considered inhumane when performed on a conscious animal. This was not an isolated act. The same decision was made again and then a third time within minutes. One mistake might be explained as an error in judgment. Repeating that decision 2 more times raises serious concerns about the judgment and leadership in a position responsible for the care of animals. Yet the route of administration for those 3 euthanasias was not documented in any shelter record. The shelter's own records, though, show 68 euthanasias between October 1st, 2025 and January of this year. Only 10 document intravenous administration, and that is the only method listed in the veterinarian's written protocol. 41 entries do not list the route of administration at all. The records also show that 17 euthanasias were performed by Andrea Murphy during this time frame, and 13 of those entries do not document the route of administration. Another serious concern is documentation related to controlled substances. Nearly 1/3 of the euthanasia entries do not include a recorded body weight. Even though these drugs are dosed based on weight, without that information, it becomes impossible to verify whether proper dosing occurred. The records also raise concerns about staff training. Multiple euthanasias appear to have been performed by employees before any documented euthanasia training, and at least 1 staff member performed euthanasias for whom no training documentation was provided in response to an open records request. When procedures involving controlled substances are not properly documented, when veterinary standing orders appear to be disregarded, and when training records do not align with the procedures being performed, it points to systemic problems in how the shelter is being
About
managed.
30 more seconds. I'll give you a little extra time.
For these reasons, I believe the city must take decisive action, including leadership changes at the shelter and a comprehensive review of shelter operations. The animals in our shelter cannot speak for themselves. That means the responsibility for their care and fixing these problems rests with all of us.
Thank you, Sue.
Tony Johnson, Salina. Just adding to this animal shelter deal, I've kind of taken an interest with all the recent headlines. My suggestion is let's rip the Band-Aid off. Sunlight is a great disinfectant. I've noticed the last Animal Advisory Board meeting from February is still not on the city's YouTube page. I don't know if that's by design or not. I did find it. But let's just call a spade here, guys. You know, we've got enough egg on our face with recent events here in town. Having said that, to add on to what the first lady or the second lady said, Monique's salary went from $62.1 thousand in 2021 to $82.7 in 2025, and I'm pretty sure that's when the wheels were falling off of this thing. So I don't understand how that happens. But also, I do oftentimes request credit card statements and receipts. Last year, I noticed we're buying cat litter like 8 to 10 at a time from places all over town, same way with dog food. I would think you could get a much better price in a, large quantity break order rather than, let's go get 10 now, 10 here, same way with dog food. I mean, I would think a single source vendor supplying all this, especially being a shelter, we could save some money there. To go along with that, I've noticed we bought 7 women's polo shirts, 3 women's hoodies. We purchased donuts for staff meetings. I'm pretty sure single parents out there trying to juggle daycare and raising children and the job aren't paying taxes so we can provide donuts to our staff. Same way with all this candy. Here's $72 worth of candy, $64 worth of candy. I mean, I don't know what it's for, but it just looks bad in my opinion. I don't think we're in the food business. But like I said, having said that, let's just rip this Band-Aid off and get it out in the open and figure out what we're going to do. It sounds like, to me, it sounds like Prairie Paws is a win-win all the way around, but whichever way we go, I hope we're very transparent in this.
Thank you. Thank you.
My name's Greg Taylor, and I live at 521 Sunset Drive. My salary's zero, so we won't argue about that to start out with, but I've lived close to Sunset Park for 42 years, 2 different houses, so very familiar with the neighborhood, and maybe I don't know any better because I've never lived anyplace else in Salina, but it's a good place to live. I mean, the houses are too close together, and they're not big fancy houses. The sidewalks are falling apart, but if you polled the neighborhood, I think they'd all like where they live, and one of the features of that they like is Sunset Park, and that's kind of why I'm here today. I was a little bit surprised and disappointed after the meeting 2 weeks ago to learn that all of a sudden the location for the Boys and Girls Club was going to be in the park. It was one thing to be just outside, but this is, right in the park. Last I knew, we were going to look at other sites in other places, but like I say, I was kind of surprised at that. I have nothing against the Boys and Girls Club. It's a good program, and it'll be a good program for Salina. I'm just not real thrilled with the siting that seems to have progressed for a little ways here lately. And I'm glad Commissioner Remp brought up the part about the neighbors. That wasn't on my list to talk about, but yeah, those people are surprised, I'm sure, and didn't expect to have a really big building literally in their backyard. We talk about not my backyard, but this really would be as far as that goes. And I'll give you an example. I emailed the commissioners here a week or so ago. I'll give you a quick example. If I were president of, say, the rodeo club here in town, and we, as a club, raised enough money to build a rodeo arena, and we said, Jerry Ivy Park would be a good place for that. And so if we approached the city and we said, hey, we've got the money and we want to build a rodeo arena in Jerry Ivy Park, probably the response would be, Mr. Taylor, that's a good idea. Salina could use that, but a park's not a good place for it. You need to find a place elsewhere. That doesn't seem to be the case here, but I think it really should be. And so I would ask that the City Commission and/or the staff reconsider that plan that's been progressed a little ways anyway, to reconsider and maybe look at another site. Thanks.
Thank you, Greg.
Are we allowed to double dip? If we're
No, afraid not.
Rose Base, Salina. I know to you commissioners, I probably seem, and mayor and city manager, I probably seem like a broken record. I am here begging you to please look into Prairie Paws or put it out for bid, as Mr. Wood has said. Somebody else needs to run the animal shelter. It does not need to be run under Parks and Rec. Obviously, they have enough on their plate to do because our shelter's paying the price for it. I don't know what else to say. It's just gone downhill and gone downhill. We already have a black eye with the Cozy Inn. We don't need another one with our animal shelter. That shelter was immaculate in its day, and it could go back to that. And like Vanessa said in her interview with Nick, if you don't, just give her a year and see what happens. Just give her a year and see what happens. You can have the shelter back or the building back if you're not happy with her, but I'll bet my bank account, you guys, your heads will spin. She can do amazing things. And to cut back on the taxpayers' dollars, why aren't you even looking at that? That's our money. That's our money that we worked hard for, and I just don't know why people aren't hearing the concern of the well-being of those animals at that shelter. It's not being ran right. You guys have been told that and told that and told that, and nobody's listening. What's it gonna take? I mean, you know, what's it gonna take? Our community, I mean, if we need to keep going, I guarantee you, we're gonna keep going. We're not stopping. There's no excuse for the things that's been happening at that shelter to be happening. And I'm sorry, I hate to be, I feel like I'm commending you guys or something, but I don't mean to be that way, but I'm so frustrated that you guys just seem to overlook it and it doesn't matter, is the comment that we've heard.
I usually don't interact, but I'm going to disagree with you a little bit when you say we don't care. That's part of the reason we've set up a study session, and there's numerous options out there. I mean, whether it's prairie paws, we'd have to do an RFP, whether it's, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to skin a cat. That's a bad way to use for a pet, for this, I know. Sorry, that was a bad analogy. But there's a lot of different ways, and that's what we're going to discuss this, and we're going to look at different things. We're taking you seriously.
Well, I hope so.
We have a process we have to go through.
I understand that.
Okay?
I worked for the city.
Yeah, you worked, and so you
Yeah,
understand.
I know how that goes.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, you know, we just want some reaction that you guys are hearing us.
Yeah.
You know,
And
obviously, if you're going to do a study session, that's maybe a baby
It's a start.
step.
I mean, we've got to start somewhere.
Okay.
We've got to get information. We've got to make decisions based on facts and information we have and what's out there. That's what we're working on.
Okay, well, Mayor Hoppick, I will wait and see what happens. Thank you.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Mary Kay Kuhn. I live here in Salina on Sunset Drive. And I like to consider myself aware of what's going on. And I was aware that the Boys, Girls, and Club was going to come to Salina, just not in a park. And even before that, my husband and I have lived on Sunset Drive for over 30 years. We bought the house because we love the street and the access to the park. My former boss, Steve Snyder, who was Parks and Recreation Director, lived on that street. That's how I learned about the home we bought. But even more than that, every summer that I was at KU, I worked at the Recreation for Parks and Recreation, and then after college, I worked there until I stayed home with my kids. We raised 3 kids on Sunset Drive, and never in my wildest dreams would I think that a park would be turned in to a facility that will bring more traffic, more children, which is not a bad thing, but the traffic alone and our property values will go down. It's literally going to be in the back of my neighbors that live on Funston Drive. Now, I researched some of this. I saw who's on the advisory board, which I think is interesting because I saw that the former city manager was on that advisory board. I would think that would be a conflict of interest, just putting it out there. And I've looked to see who's been on there and raised the money. And that makes sense because none of them live on Sunset Drive, and none of them have ever talked to probably any of our neighbors on Sunset Drive who are not aware of what's going on. I think it's very good to bring that to Salina, but a better location. They say Sunset Drive's the optimal location, but yet they have a club at Oakdale. So I'm a little confused. And I think there's other sites because they have to tear down trees and the bathroom. And not just that, like today I was there, like Jackie said, I drove through there. And then I drove through before I came. Lots of activity there. That'll be dangerous for people who want to walk around the park, walk their dogs, ride their bikes, run. I really think you need to reconsider. I feel like it's a done deal already. I really do, because it's Sunset Park. It was by the Ball Diamonds. Now it's not because we have a Mexican-American baseball team that plays there. Well, we have a neighborhood that we'd like to preserve, and I really hope you think about going somewhere else that's more locally, maybe downtown where the old Dollar General was, maybe Centennial Park that already has Friendship Center that you don't have to cut down trees, and it's not in someone's backyard. They're used to Friendship Center there. They're used to having the skate park there. So I just hope that you all reconsider, because that'll be very sad, very sad. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Hi, Michelle Timpson, Minneapolis. I just have a few comments on the shelter. I just wonder if you only care now because some of this has backfired in your face or blew up now. I have concerns that some people haven't been put on leave because of the facts now that Sue has shown you or told you, or it's all on paper. All the facts are there. It was the violations in the state report, and we have been told lies. We have been gaslighted by several people. And the animals are suffering. And yeah, there are other options out there, but are we going to continue to let the animals suffer while you leave people in their jobs? I mean, is that what you're going to do? Or are you going to make changes now? Or are we going to keep going and keep letting them do this? There are other things that have happened. Some of the staff members at the shelter are scared. Some of the past staff members were scared in their jobs. And I know this because they've reached out. They're afraid of repercussions. And it's scary because I don't know what the shelter director and manager have done to them. So how much deeper do we need to go?
Thank you. Thank you.
Is my time up, or
Oh, I thought you were.
do I need to
thought
tell
you were
more
done.
information?
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. I thought you were.
The manager was taking wildlife home. She got a slap on the hand. I called Parks and Wildlife today, gave him a little more information. He said he wished he would have known some of this information that's going on now at the shelter, because he probably would have forced some more information out of her or checked her home, and he wanted to know if she has wildlife at her house now. I said, I don't know, but I really hope someone goes to check her home now. There is so much more information out there. And you guys, she's still in her job. This is frustrating. So how much deeper do we want to go? She should be on leave, and we know this. We know this. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Annette Cox here in Salina, and that's a tough act to follow, but I'm going to try. I've looked at the information that they've gotten, and it's ridiculous. Like she says, how far do you want to go? Some of those drugs that they're using, the weights that were on the pets, it's 1 cc per 10 pounds of body weight. Some of the animals weighed over 50 pounds, and they were using under 5 cc's. Okay, this is a drug that slowly makes the heart stop, but yet they're using less drugs than what is supposed to be applied to have that death occur. It's just stupid. And you got those people running the shelter that's doing that, and it wasn't just one incident. There's more than that. They're using 1 cc for a bat. When have you ever seen a 10-pound bat flying around town? So the use of the drugs is ridiculous. And for them to have that many, problems with the state, with the drug logs not being right, and then all of a sudden, poof, now they got a bunch of stuff all written down. Where'd they get that from? Obviously out of their shoe or something, but, like they say, something's got to be done. But there was something else. Oh, where do you come from? You hired the one person to keep an eye on the reports, the logs, the everything, and they're still totally wrong, but yet you promoted that person. Yep. What the heck? I mean, how do you do that? How do you make mistakes, but yet you're promoted over the one that has already made made a mistake, but yet you keep them both. And yeah, I just don't understand. And I was there for 19 and a half years, and like Rose, we worked together for several years. It wasn't a high turnover rate. You have a high turnover rate because you have management that does not, work with your employees very well. I know people that's worked there, and they get a face-to-face conversation with them, and they say one thing, and then out the other side, when they're in front of somebody else, then they're saying another conversation, protecting themselves, which it looks like they've done a pretty good job of it. But thank you, and I'm glad you're going to talk about it later.
Thank you, Annette.
Northern Salina. You don't want to PO your women. You wish you had no. That's their babies.
You tell them. You tell them.
See, she's mad at you.
He don't care.
Not the first one, that won't be the last one probably, Norm.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. Okay, Temple Granlund, you need to talk to her. She knows about animal welfare. You ladies know about her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to live.
So talk to her.
Yep.
She knows how to do it. We mistreat our animals. Some of this juice the veterinarians use, it's called elephant juice. That's bad stuff. Talk to the U.S. Fish and Game Department, like these ladies are doing. What are we going to do about the celebration in July for 250 years? We need to go back and look. It was a disgrace what we did to these people. One nation was disgraced, destroyed, so another nation could come to birth. The founding fathers of the Great Plains. So when you start celebrating, you better look back at history. Talk to the Native Americans, what we did to them. Shame on you. Shame on me.
Thank you, Norm.
Ben Winhole, Salina. Animal shelter. Let's look at this from the legal aspect of it. If 3 puppies were euthanized with a heart stick with no sedation, that's animal cruelty. Animal cruelty. All right, the last time I knew that federal, state, and local, that's a crime. It's a crime for what they did. And there are consequences for that. If found guilty, there's jail time. So, starting with the city manager and each one of you commissioners, if you're letting this keep going on and not going to do anything about it, you're abating criminality. Simple as that. And I don't think you really want that. You really don't. It's time for Prairie Paws or somebody else to come in and run it right. And you can't say, well, gosh, that's another partnership. You have a partnership with the Tony Event Center with a budget that has $900,000 a year. We don't even know publicly how much you're paying this OVG company to run this. But I can guarantee you that somebody like Prairie Paws can probably do a better job and cheaper than what you're paying these people that you have there now. This is ridiculous. It's almost like you have somebody sit up there, oh, these are good people that are killing dogs the wrong way? Really? I don't buy that. I don't buy that one bit. So it's time. It's time for a change, and I think it needs to be done before the study session in 2 weeks. Something needs to happen, and happen now, basically. Now, going on to a different subject, Sunset Park with the Boys and Girls Club. I am not against the Boys and Girls Club, but I had brought this up before when the tennis courts were being put up over where they're at now. Why not look at the land over there south of the Friendship Center and the skate park? That's 3/4 of a block with nothing on it. I was told before, well, the kids play there. They do soccer games there. It's empty land. Plenty of parking, plenty of space for a building. And it's not in one of our parks that has been a park forever. So maybe we should look at this again. Maybe we should look at that land over there. And as far as legal saying that we do things behind closed doors, there's a reason why you guys want to do this behind closed doors, because you don't want it to get out into public. When we come up here, you can't control. Freedom of speech. We can say anything we want about anybody, basically, because this is freedom of speech. And so you can't say, well, we need to do this behind closed doors, basically in our office setting, because nobody's going to know exactly what the problem is internally with you guys if it's not done right here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kim Hill, Salina. Our animal shelter used to be one of the best in the state. It was top notch, and I don't know how many people have made that comment, that it was one of the best in the state. And that's what we're fighting for, is we want to get it back to that. It's not about me. It's not about anybody else. It's not about any of you. It's about those animals and them being taken care of. I don't know how many animals that I have adopted from that shelter. I call my house the Hill Animal Rescue, because that's what I do, is I rescue animals instead of paying for them from a breeder. And I don't know how many times my husband and I, on a whim, on a Saturday, let's go by the shelter. So we'd go by the shelter and walk through, and I promise you, every single time we left there with a dog or a cat. Or I'd have to go pick them up from my vet on Monday because they still had to be spayed or neutered. You don't get the luxury of doing that anymore with our shelter. And it stinks. One of my coworkers a couple weeks ago called down at the shelter and asked about barn cats. Well, we've only got 3 cats. You look at the shelter website, there's not hardly any animals available for adoption. So why is staffing an issue? We want our shelter back to being the top-notch shelter that it once was. Our shelter was known throughout the state of being one of the best ones. And what is going on the last several years, like a couple people have mentioned, it's not only heartbreaking, it is criminal. Because us as citizens, if we treated animals like these animals at our shelter are being treated, we would be criminally investigated and criminally charged. So that's what we're fighting for, is those animals at the shelter. And to get us back on the map as having one of the best shelters in the state of Kansas. That's what it's about. And those animals have a safe place to go. Because I'm telling you right now, there's several of us putting it out on social media. Know your neighbors, know their animals. Let's do what we can to keep them from having to go to our shelter right now. We will take them in unless they're being aggressive or injured. So please, please, we're asking you, do something.
Thank you, Kim. Okay, anyone else? Okay, if not, we have an executive scheduled, and how long? 30, 45 minutes?
30 minutes.
We'll try 30, okay.
Mayor Hoppick, I move the City Commission recess into executive session for 30 minutes to discuss the subject of legal considerations related to the city animal shelter with legal counsel based upon the need for consultation with an attorney for the public body, which would be deemed privilege in the attorney-client relationship pursuant to KSA 75-4319B2.
Okay.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion to move into City Commission to recess into executive session for 30 minutes to discuss the subject of legal considerations related to the city animal shelter with legal counsel based upon the need for consulting with an attorney for the public body, which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship pursuant to KSA 7543-19B2. We will be back in this. I need a motion for, or I need a motion second.
I second it.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? We will resume back in this room at 5:40.
In attendance at the meeting will be City Attorney Patrick Hoffman, myself, and Deputy City Manager Sean Hennessy.
Okay, we are back in session. I will accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
A motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, we'll see everyone in 2 weeks.